hidong or whatever.
Okay, started. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. So welcome to the presidential debate for the new committee of 2016 to 2017. We have 3 candidates today. The first one is Paige Hon, who will be running primary position for vice president, secondary position president. And we also have Rhonda Tan, who is running for primary position as a president and secondary position as vice president. And lastly, we have Daniel Lee Darwin, who is running for vice president. Without further ado, let me introduce them. So, first question. What other events or activities do you think MSA should do to promote our Malaysian culture to the Malaysian community, other than the usual Raya, Deepavali, Chinese New Year, food fest that we do every day?
Okay, should I talk to the camera? So one of the ideas I was just thinking about is having like a Sunday dinner. So basically every Sunday we will go to maybe rotating to a person's house, and we would bring some food together, maybe it's like a potluck, like today you cook nasi lemak and I'll cook rendang, and then we just hang out. It's not just exclusive to Malaysians. So we can invite friends, hey, you guys want to join us for dinner? Okay, maybe the first week they don't have to bring food, but once they get used and they hang out and feel like they feel at home with fellow Malaysians and other people, other races and other ethnicities. So I feel that's a good way to gain knowledge about Malaysia.
To promote Malaysian culture, I think that since Wisconsin-Madison is so, they are so strong with community service, I think that Malaysian Student Association should organize a community service project. And one of the ideas that I included in my manifesto was to have a run for a cause marathon. I feel that this would really involve people other than Malaysians in this run, and so people would be able to know Malaysian Student Association, they are not only an association that organizes events and food events and different fun activities, but they actually do things for a purpose. And so with this run for a cause marathon, we can raise funds for these community service projects that will benefit the society as a whole, because I believe that we should give back to community. Yeah.
So for my idea, I believe that Wisconsin-Madison has a lot of resources for its international student clubs, which we have not really utilized fully. So first of all, we could have the MSC has this event called A Place at the Table, where they have a conversation on diversity and inclusion in the campus while serving food. And I think the past one, they had an Indian food one with the Indian Student Association. So I think it would be a great idea for us to do one with Malaysian, the MSA, because Malaysia is well known for its food, as well as I think the Malaysian community in the school itself is a very large part of it. So it will be a great sort of mix between ISS, MSC, as well as MSA, and as well as this is a frequently contested idea, but Malaysian night, I think in other schools they have it, and it's like a showcase. It's like a showcase of our culture. So maybe we can make that happen as a branch out of our usual celebration events.
Right. Great response from the candidates. The next question is, what would you say is MSA's biggest weakness and why?
Okay, so I think MSA's biggest weakness is we don't really, we have a sense of community among Malaysians, but we don't really have a sense of community among its members, because I think a lot of people see MSA as a Malaysian community instead of as a student organization club. So I think we have to keep on putting in effort to make it an established club and to make people more committed to the cause of being Malaysian in this campus and showing UW what being a Malaysian is about, rather than just coming together and being Malaysian, whereas because it's a very synonymous thing. You say Malaysians, thinking, oh yeah, MSA, but it's not really that.
I think to build upon her point, we Malaysians, yes, we do come together, and then but then there is no sense of seriousness when we come to activities or events. So it is important for Malaysians, especially in the association, to understand our roles in the club. And I think another weakness is that although our club has a lot of members, I think on Facebook it has 600 members, but I think that not everyone participate in our events, not everyone is involved, not everyone looks at the page, and I don't expect everyone to, but it would be good if more Malaysians can contribute their part and not feel like they are left out from the association.
So for me, I feel that it's more of a mentality that's the problem, which is like, we always joke about, Malaysian timing. So like if I want to join a club, and if I'm organizing an event and I realize, okay, we want the event to start at 6, but we ourselves, we don't believe that everybody's going to show up at 6. I feel the mentality of, we look down on, okay, everybody's going to be late. And then when other people actually show up at 6, and then they'll be frustrated, why isn't the event starting? So I feel that there's some tension between people where I have a couple of friends who would rather not go for Malaysian event just because, like, they say it's a waste of time, it's a very long track. So I feel that we need to establish and show that, hey, we take things seriously, and if we say start at 6, we're going to start at 6. And one more thing is, I feel like we have not enough events. So when that happens, like certain people who so I have my housemate, for example, I asked him, why don't you want to go for Malaysian events? He said, oh, it's very exclusive. Okay, only Chinese New Year, only Deepawali, and then he can't eat Indian food, So he's like, oh, there's no reason for me to go. So I feel that we should have more diversity, We should have more besides just a few small events, which is why I again say why we should have a Sunday dinner where it's just about hanging out with fellow Malaysians, we're building a community together and learning each other more.
Great response again from the candidates. So the next question is, MSA is always facing the issue of raising funds, especially for grad night every year. So the question is, how can MSA improve on the fundraising aspect of the club? Should there be a fundraising committee position?
I believe so. Sorry.
No, you can go.
I think, having a fundraising committee, especially for grad night, because it's such a big event, should be established. However, I think being in the MSA executive committee itself, you have to also contribute to the fundraising efforts, as with TJM, which me and Daniel were part of. We also face the problem of fundraising, and it's not an easy job, it's a very hard job, but I think with the collective effort of all the other committees, we could make it happen. But I think a fundraising committee would also be a very good idea, because it's a group of people who are solely focused on the task of finding funds, which is, rather than just trying to plan the event and trying to get the commitment from people, I think it's a good idea.
So I feel that I don't think it's necessary for us to actually have committee. Okay, I'm going to go back to about it's the mentality. So if you like something, right? If you have somebody that you like, right? You want to bless the person with a lot of stuff. You want to buy stuff for the person. That goes with MSA. As a whole MSA, if you love MSA, once we get the mentality, everybody to it's a family. You want to help out MSA. So having funds, I think, will be less of a problem when you look at the bigger picture, which is the whole club itself. If everybody loves the club, they want to go for grad night, they will help contribute. So I do not think we need the committee, but this is, I think, in the longer run, which I hope that we'll be able to achieve it after this, to make the club where something we will all want to contribute, and you don't have to have a specific committee to squeeze out money, and people oh, you're squeezing out money for me. I do not want the type of mentality. I want you to hey, I want to contribute because I want grad night to happen, because it's for us, Malaysian, it's for us, we're doing this.
Personally, I think that there is no need for a fundraising committee that runs a year long, but I think that there should be a temporary committee, maybe before grad night, because I think that, yes, fundraising is important, but I think that throughout the whole year, we can have events that cater specifically to raise funds for grad night. So you can have either a temporary committee to really focus just right before grad night to have 2 to 3 events that really raise funds for grad night, instead of having one that runs all year long. Because I feel that let's say the grad night is in April, and if there is a committee that starts working in September, I'm afraid that we will race too much funds.
Great. Moving on, the next question is, what do you think MSA is for? What is this club for? Or rather, what's the purpose of this club?
Personally, I joined the MSA committee as an intern because I felt really welcomed when I came here. A lot of people approached me and even offered to, pick me up from the airport and ask me about like accommodation. And so I feel like MSA is a place where Malaysians can all fall back. And not only Malaysians, but people who love the Malaysian culture, people who feel like they can connect with Malaysia. I think it is a place where we just come together to really feel a sense of belonging somewhere outside our homeland in a foreign place. And besides that, we have events to promote Malaysia to international students here. And it is very important for us to show Malaysian culture to all these people, because that is what we're here for. We're not here to, of course we should mix with other people, but we should also maintain our own identity as a Malaysian.
So I feel that MSA is actually a home away from a home. So like when I first got to America and everything was new, okay, people were driving on the wrong side of the road, there's no mama stalls. And I remember getting out of the bus, and then that time it was Ming. I didn't know him. He came and he took me, he showed me around the area. He told me like, hey, this is this and this, which I felt like, oh, I was really touched, because like having a sense of somebody familiar with you from traveling like so far away. So I feel that MSA is a place where us Malaysians can go back to, as something about Rhonda said, like as a family, it's like a home, whenever we feel homesick, we miss our parents, we miss all the food in Malaysia. Oh my God, when we miss all of that, we can go to a Malaysian MSA together, and you feel like, hey, sometimes when I go for MSA events, I forget I'm in America. That is what we should achieve. Like, wow, you feel like so homely, and that also MSA is to promote, and I wouldn't say promote by itself. People who are curious to learn about us Malaysians, they can come to the club and say, wow, okay, we have the best food in the world. Wow, okay, Malaysia is so hot, and we can learn so much stuff, which I really like about MSA.
So I think MSA has two main sort of ideas that it tries to project. Firstly, it's a community for the Malaysians studying here in UWMS, and I think it's a very strong part of the organization, because we really do put a lot of effort and a lot of time into making sure the Malaysians here are adjusted well. They have their own. I mean, we still have a sense of the Malaysian community, the Malaysian family, even though we are studying abroad. But I think another part of it, as well as being like the community sense, is we educate the overall UW Medicine campus on the diversity of Southeast Asian cultures. I think it's a very important part that MSA should, well, not put more effort in, but because I feel like we are more stronger in the community sense rather than the showcasing sense. Because right now, UW Medicine is facing some backlash on its diversity and inclusion policies, and I think that MSA can do more to showcase that UW Medicine is accepting of diversity. It is inclusive of all types of people from around the world.
I think to add to that, one of my friends, or actually many of my friends from China and from Hong Kong and from Taiwan, when they hear about MSA, they are really impressed. They are really excited about it. When they hear it, they're like, oh, so like what are your next events? So what are you guys up to? We're just, they're so curious about what is going on in our association, because they have seen such success before, how this Malaysian community is so accepting of other people, and we're just so fun to hang out with. And so I think this is something that is important and is very important to people outside of the group. They feel involved. They feel that they can do a part to make it a successful community, and they're really curious about us and excited about our events.
Great. So the next question is targeted at Rhonda. Since you interned with MSA this semester,
yeah,
what are some things you believe you can improve on the current way of organizing events?
okay, as an intern, I realized that not everyone is taking part as taking as much jobs as they should be. I feel like people can be more supportive of these events and really think of it as your own event. You know, like you're Malaysian, you're an intern, you're in a committee, you should think of it as a part of your event. And I believe that for the committee, I feel like other people should also contribute their ideas. It is not just the committee that is working. I believe that members have the right and should contribute their ideas, contribute their plans, throw in their opinions. Those are really important for us. Constructive criticisms, telling us, oh, hey, this is not right, or hey, you can improve on this. We as a committee, we should really accept all these criticisms, and we should really work on improving our organization methods and the way we do things.
Okay. This question is for Paige and Daniel. As part of the TGM committee, what are the biggest takeaway you gained from organizing the event, and how will this help you when you are in the MSA committee?
So for me, one of the biggest takeaways is, honestly, communication is absolute key in event planning, especially because TJM was, I think a lot of the people in the committee were like first time having a leadership position here in UW Madison. So we had a few bumps along the way, but I feel like a lot of it was ironed over because of communication. We had open communication. We would say what we thought, we would say what we thought of certain ideas, and we would like have a very good back and forth. And I think that was a very big lesson that I learned from TGM, amongst others.
Okay, so for me, I feel that PGM was a real eye-opener over here. So I want to say that, you know, in order for a committee to work, you all must have one common goal. You must have a vision. The problem I felt that, you know, at the beginning, we were not having the same vision, you know. Some people were having it slightly different, and you have to believe that it's going to happen, it's going to work. I mean, at the start, I was like, like, I'm not too sure whether TGM is going to work. So that was like, that's where the communication is very important. So when I learned something which is that having a close committee and having the same goal, when you all have the same vision, I feel that we can almost do anything.
So, next question is for everybody. As a president or a vice president, you must show strong leadership skills. How would you motivate your committee members when they are facing academic difficulties and are too busy with their coursework?
I think being a leader, you have to be very compassionate and understanding of your committee's problems and motivations. So obviously being in UW Madison, it's pretty intense, especially during midterms week. So I think a very big part of it is just being understanding, say, okay, I get it, you're busy. Can you get it to me by this time? Or when can you get it to me the soonest? Because we have to constantly remind our committee that we're all in this together. It's not a segregated duty kind of thing. It's like we all work together towards a common goal, and I think that we have to understand people's problems, where they're coming from, and just be very open about what you feel and how they should tackle their problems.
I think one of the things that can avoid these situations to happen is to plan ahead of time and to plan early. As long as we need to have like a proper plan, and so that you don't have to rush before like the due date, and so you won't have excuses like, oh, we are short of time, So it is very important to plan ahead. It is very important to delegate tasks ahead of time to your committee. Do not give them, like as a president, I would not give them like 1 week or like a 1 day to work on something, but I would, tell them ahead of time, can you do this project? Are you up for this, or do you have time? So that would really avoid any rushing, and so that we can also produce very good quality work for our association members. But if in extreme cases, when the committee is facing difficulty in their academic and they really cannot do it, I'm fine with that because I'm a student as well. I understand that sometimes when you're working on your studies, it's just really hard to give some time to a club. But I would encourage them, if they can finish it by a due date that I set for them, it would be fine. But if they're really piled up with work, I would actually ask whether someone else in the committee have the time to follow up or assist the one who's in charge. So that's my plan.
So I have to agree with Rhonda. So my idea is that if you have too much workload, you underestimated how much work this is going to be. I feel that as a vice president, I feel that I'm going to ask like any other committee members. And remember, because we have a common goal, other people won't be like, hey, don't pass this to me. They'll be like, if I have time, okay, I can help you. But that's one way, which is looking at the bigger picture, and everyone wants to help each other. It's not like, hey, you're giving me more work than another person. I don't want that thing to happen. And when we all have the common goal, I feel that we can avoid the situation. But in extreme cases, as what they do and say, if he has really too much work, yeah, I'll be more lenient and I'll be understanding. I'm a student as well. Frankly, I'm also struggling with my studies, so I will understand. And if it's really very urgent and it needs to be done by the date, I would also chip in and help out, because we all in this together after all, right?
Great. Next question is, describe a time when you have to step up and take lead on an event.
In the past, the most recent is I think during the food festival. So what happened was I was not supposed to volunteer because I had other stuff, but then Ming actually messaged me and said, hey, do you mind coming to help out to set up from like 10 to 11? So I just went there, I helped put the tables and move stuff, and so there was an AV system which nobody was in charge of it. So I decided, hey, you know what, let's set up this AV system. I brought the sound system, I set up the projector, I got the MSA page on. And then after that, we found out like, hey, we have like 10 different food stalls. And one of the stalls, which is the roti canai, had nobody to serve it. So I decided, hey, you know what, I didn't even ask. I just stood there and I started serving. So I wasn't supposed to be there. I was supposed to go home at 11. But hey, because this is Malaysian, this is MSA, which I'm a part of, and I want to help. The money we're getting from this is actually for grad night. So I'm like, hey, this is the mentality. I want it to work. So I started selling roti canai. And we actually sold all the roti canai at a record time. I'm just kidding, but we did sell all the roti canai, okay? Yeah. And it was really good, okay?
Okay, so the most recent one I can think of, which is related to what Ming said, is during TGM, during the event day itself, we had a workflow set together, but I feel like a lot of it was also on the spot thinking, like, okay, if this is missing, let's go and do this. So I feel like I stepped up a lot during the event in terms of like last minute planning and like getting stuff together, being the referee and stuff like that. So despite it not being I was a singular person who took the role of the leader, I feel like I did my part, I did it well, and I contributed to the success of the event, which is what's most important.
I think I would go with the Food Fest, which I was heavily involved with. So I was not in charge of marketing, I was in charge of decoration. But 2 weeks before the Food Fest, we decided that, hey, we need to, promote our event. And all the interns were supposed to, submit their part of their promotion poster, the e-brochure that, they designed. And I submitted mine. I'm not sure whether the rest did, but mine was posted, and I realized that was not enough. Like, one poster was not enough for me. And so I really put a lot of effort into designing the posters, because I thought I felt like the Food Fest was, not only the MSA's event, it was really my event, it was really our event. And so I felt a sense of ownership to it. And I designed all the posters, even though I wasn't the marketing director. I spoke to the org chairperson and my fellow house to, get to book the room, and I make sure, everything was in place. I made sure the room was available, even though that was not really my duty, but I stood up and I said, hey, I can do this. I can go to org and I can, settle all these issues for you guys. And so on that day, another factor that made me stood up was because I think not every one of us, we're not experienced with events. And so during the event, some of them were late. And I don't blame them because they weren't, asked. They weren't they were asked to come early, but they probably had to cook and they probably had to prepare. And it took a lot of time. So it didn't start well. It was very messy at first. But I took the initiative to really make sure everything was in place, making sure that there were enough tables, there were enough chairs, and I was happy that Daniel helped me with that. He was really proactive in the Food Fest, and I also made sure that everyone was happy with the food. I got comments about how good the food was, and also bad comments about the food was a bit too cold, and how the food was also too little for them to enjoy. So that can be improved. I believe that I took enough initiative during the Food Fest to really prove that I have leadership skills.
Great. Very insightful responses from the candidates. For now, we will be taking a 10-minute break before continuing with the second half of the debate. Stay tuned and we will be back. Thank you.